What's up, y'all? I'm Will here with Schedulefly, and this is the Restaurant Owners Uncorked podcast, one of the highest rated hospitality podcasts in the world, brought to you by us at Schedulefly. We provide a very simple web-based restaurant employee scheduling software backed by legendary customer service. If you're on pencil and paper or Excel, or you're on some software with tons of bells and whistles and features you don't need or use, Schedulefly is the perfect place for you. Easy to use, point, click, and go, and we'll take great care of you. Schedulefly.com, free trial, check it out. Also, this podcast is brought to you by our sponsors, Pop Menu and The Giving Kitchen and Kickfin, and you're going to hear about them in just a minute. First of all, let's talk about today's guest. All right, y'all, this was a fun episode here in studio, and this was a first. This is a first for 10 years of doing this. Conor flew down from Long Island to come down here to the studio to be on this podcast. So we're super honored that he did that. He owns a phenomenal Irish pub that he's had for 27 years up in Long Island. So we talk about that story. We also talk about a business that he started to help his pub during COVID called Stick, which is enabling small businesses to gather their customers' cell phone numbers and then put them on a text list and send text. And of course, he's now growing that business. So we had a cool conversation about that. And then we talked about something that he and I share an interest in, which is paddleboarding, but also just being middle-aged dudes who try to take good care of ourselves and really into fitness and all the downstream positive effects in personal and business life that fitness has. So could have taught him a really long time, but we're going to go eat lunch, and I'm going to come back and record another episode with another exciting guest here in a little bit. So thank you all for watching, listening. Love y'all. More episodes coming soon. See ya. Give your team the gift of Pop Menu AI Answering, a simple solution for phones ringing off the hook. AI Answering handles calls 24/7, 365 days a year, so your staff can focus on in-person guests. Customize your greetings and responses, answer common questions, promote specials and events, and send follow-up links to ordering and reservations. AI Answering handles it all while escalating more complex conversations back to your team. Never miss another tasty revenue opportunity. Pop Menu, the marketing technology platform designed to make growing your restaurant easy. Discover more AI restaurant tools that turn your to-do list into an already done list by requesting a demo today. For a limited time, get $100 off your first month, plus lock in one unchanging monthly rate at popmenu.com. Go now to get $100 off your first month at popmenu.com. Be sure to tell them that Will from Restaurant Owners Uncorked podcast and Schedulefly sent you. Y'all, this is a great business. I just told you what they like me to say. I will say that we have a lot of mutual customers at Schedulefly with Pop Menu. They all agree. Great product, great customer service, great results. Check them out, popmenu.com. This episode is also brought to you by The Giving Kitchen. Giving Kitchen provides emergency assistance for food service workers through financial support and a network of community resources. Since its inception in 2013, Giving Kitchen has served over 15,000 food service workers and awarded over $10.5 million to food service workers in crisis. If you or someone you know is a food service worker in crisis, please ask for help. thegivingkitchen.org. And again, that's thegivingkitchen.org. Y'all, this is a phenomenal organization. Jen, the founder, has been on this podcast. Jen Heidinger Kendrick, check out that episode to hear their full story. But if you know somebody or you need help, go to thegivingkitchen.org. Incredible organization, and very responsive, and has a wonderful mission. Check them out. All right. This is really cool, man. I'm super excited. You flew down, Conor, this morning from New York, and here we are sitting in the studio. We've had a great morning. Do this. Just introduce yourself real quick.
Thanks a lot for having me and giving me the tour this morning. That was awesome. Never been to Charlotte, let alone North Carolina. It was awesome. But so my name's Conor, and I own a pub in New York. First of all, right, I moved here from Ireland in '92, November '92. I worked in a bar. A friend of mine actually owned a bar from Ireland. I used to crew with him in my teens in Ireland, and I followed one friend over here, and then basically I ended up bartending. Sorry, I barbacked first of all for a while, and then bartended, and then I ended up painting houses on the side, and had a small little side gig. Me and a couple of guys painting houses. So it was kind of the thing to do in the circles that I was in. Everybody worked two jobs.
Yeah.
You know, so for 5 years, and then make a long story short, I ended up buying the bar next to my apartment. You know, some dive bar in Babylon Village, beautiful village in Long Island, an hour from Manhattan, and I've owned it 27 years as of last month, and you know, I mean, I don't know if you want me to get into the
Oh, yeah. Well, tell us the name of the bar.
So, Mary Carroll's Pub, named it after my mother.
So, well, we've had a wonderful time this morning. You came in early this morning, and we drove down to my farm, and we went to Waxhaw and went to that Irish pub there, which is a great place, and then just kind of cruised around.
Mary O'Neill's, gorgeous place.
Mary O'Neill's, yeah. Customer schedule fly. So I've just enjoyed getting to know you and your story. So we're going to dive back into a lot of the stuff that you and I have talked about this morning, because I find it you have a fascinating story. When you came here from Ireland, between when you first came and when you bought this bar was 5 years?
5 years, yeah.
Okay. Did you grow up with involved in hospitality in any way? Or you just got here and started bar backing because you needed to make money kind of thing?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we're in Ireland. It wasn't a whole lot of jobs, you know, for kids. You know, it wasn't a big thing to do. You know what I mean? And you know, as you're a kid growing up, and so I mean, I did do some some jobs, like, you know, some landscaping and that kind of thing in Ireland growing up. But no, honestly, it was the need for a job, and I knew you know, a friend of mine, as I said, who owned a bar. He was a part owner in a bar called Lily Flanagan's in Long Island, and ended up working for him. You know,
Lily Flanagan's.
Yeah.
Why did you want to come to the U.S.?
You know, my dad worked here for Trans World Airlines, you know, the old competitor of Pan Am back in the 50s, and he lived here for 3.5 years in New York, working in JFK, and then he moved back to Ireland, worked another the rest of his 27 years of TWA in Ireland. So we had free flight with TWA. So some of my first vacations were actually to America, you know, when it would have, you know, it was actually the cheapest vacation. It was awesome, but we got to fly, you know, over to New York and all around the place. And they also had a deal with the hotels, Sheraton, they were partners with. So we were very lucky to be able to do international vacations as a kid, you know, and fell in love with America, really, to be honest with you, you know. And that
what
was
about it? Like, what about it? I mean, because Ireland's a great country. Like, what about America? I'm curious. I mean, I'm asking this because I've been here my whole life, so I don't know what it's like to come from somewhere else. I travel places; they seem cool. You're there a week, you have no idea what it's like to really live there.
Right.
I think America's great. I love this country, but then I've been blessed to be here my whole life. What about it inspired you to want to establish your roots here and be here?
Yeah, I came here straight after college just because I love the place and found it very exciting, and there's a lot going on, and to me, truthfully, the weather's a lot better than in Ireland.
Yeah, okay.
And that too, but basically the longer I had spent here, I just love the fact that it's bigger, and it's almost like, you know, you can actually just do anything. There's just so many opportunities. It's true, you know, there are a million opportunities here. Truthfully, also, when I left Ireland, the unemployment rate was so high; it was 20%. You know?
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
In 1992, 20%.
Golly.
Yeah. And you know, basically the employers, you know, took advantage of that, and pay was very low. You know, at the same time. So you know, you were kind of like, you know, they would say nearly you're kind of like blessed to have this job, kind of thing, you know, and you don't even dare go look for another job. So and you know, so I was just it was the freedom of coming here and basically being able to do whatever you want and kind of find your own way. It was just the doors were wide open over in the States, you know.
So you had at one point you were you had a small a house painting business.
Yeah.
And then you were working in a bar.
Right.
So I mean, fairly quickly you were able to start your own business.
Yeah, 5 years basically. I was, and yes, I was very lucky, and I mean, I also found fate kind of got, played a part. I ended up renting an apartment right next to this dive bar, and I got friendly with the owner, and I just literally said, I'd love to buy your bar someday. Please let me know if you're ever selling it. He was a school teacher, and it was his side gig. And I never thought, like, literally he knocked on my door one day, like literally opportunity. I tell people opportunity actually knocked on my door. That's true, and so I got lucky there too. Basically basically I ended up getting it for a really, really nominal price. He was kind of done, and there was a lot of back rent and all that kind of stuff, and there was a lot of things to be resolved. And then I found out he was getting evicted, as this is 27 years ago. So I ended up really, getting in for very, very little money. And but I still wouldn't have been able to do it. My partner pulled out at the last minute. One of my bartending friends and my roommate, and basically my brother stepped in and gave me a loan and to make up the difference. And if it wasn't for that, it would never ended up owning Mary Carroll's. Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you want to share the details. You shared some of the details, but let's say that you paid your brother back the loan. Let's see here. So he got a 200%, 300% return in like 2 years or something crazy.
You know what? He basically he didn't really want to be a partner, but I was insistent on that. Like, hey, listen, you gave me a good chunk of money, and but after 2 years of me giving him money back, he's just like, dude, enough. I never wanted to be your partner. I just wanted to help you out.
Was he here in the States?
No, he was in Ireland.
Okay.
Yeah. It was him and his wife, to give them both credit.
Okay.
So we listen, as I said in the car earlier, like, nobody ever does anything alone. You know what I mean? My brother and his wife were a big help. And but I also didn't take $1 out of the place for 5 years. Not $1. I bartended 4 or 5 days a week for the first 5 years, and then eventually basically started. So all I did was put the money back into the place.
You lived on what you were paying yourself as a bartender.
I was shocked to find out, that basically people would tip me knowing that I owned the bar. Not everybody knew, of course, but I mean, I literally survived off the tips.
That's amazing. That's awesome. And did you still have your apartment? No.
And I rented in the apartment next door, and then my wife, who's actually Andrea, who's been incredible all the way along, but we met working in that bar, that the Lily Flanagan's, before Mary Carroll's.
Okay.
And then eventually, once we got engaged, or actually before that, she's like, I'm not going to live next to your bar. So we rented an apartment like a mile away.
Okay. When did y'all get married?
We got married 22 years ago.
Okay, so you had the bar for...
But we were together before, about a year before opening the bar,
Okay.
Yeah, and living together before that.
She's been with you the whole...
She's been,
whole ride.
for the whole crazy ride. She's been there the whole time. Yeah.
Okay, so you got this place. So you got it for a good deal. We talked about some of the math. So you definitely got it for a good deal.
Yeah.
But you were the reputation wasn't so great. He's about to get evicted. So you've got to now come in and change the narrative.
Yeah.
And
it was known as the broken oar, otherwise known as the open sore.
The open sore, for reasons you can assume, folks.
Yeah. Lots of drugs and fighting and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Golly.
Yeah.
So you have a big reputational risk of just that property,
right?
In general, that's the place. So now you come in, and you're young and hungry and aggressive, but you've got to figure out, how do I change the narrative about this place? I'm going to guess. So you're bartending there. You must have been working crazy number of hours when you first started.
Yeah, I was absolutely working crazy number of hours. So basically, it was fortunate I lived 50 feet from the bar, but I would bartend, and then the next day I would wake up and do some carpentry and some painting and that kind of stuff, and then all the time dealing with the beer orders, liquor orders, and dealing with the accountants and the attorneys and whatever else is involved, so it was a pretty wild ride for the first couple of years, And yeah, I mean the bar, it had a major drug problem to the point where literally like there was a raid on the place not that long before I bought it, with the helicopter overhead and DEA coming in the front and back door. It was a pretty pretty crazy scene, and.
Meanwhile, you're living next to.
I was living next door, yeah, and listen, I enjoyed and enjoy a drink, but I would never go into the bar. You know what I mean? I lived next to a bar that I would never go near.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. It was pretty bad, really bad actually, and yeah, I mean one of the first things I did, to be honest with you, was I just they'd had these tiny little octagon windows in the front, and there was a couple of neons there and some plywood behind me. You couldn't see into the bar. So the first thing I did was, I put 2 giant windows in the front,
Right.
to try and make people, if you're doing something you shouldn't be doing, you're going to feel very uncomfortable in there. And I got very lucky. I was introduced to, if you own a bar, having a good relationship with the police is very important. And somebody introduced me to one of the local cops, the first precinct, and they... Literally, I was working on my own, and there wasn't one customer in the bar. And the very next day, 2 squad cars pulled up, and they walked in, and they just said, "We heard you're taking over this place and trying to make it, turn it around, and you got our full support." And that was a game changer. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So just knowing that they had your back, and to start off in a good footing, because not that it was going to be the same old. It was a nightmare for them. They were there all the time.
Right. So that was a big deal for them to have somebody coming in there. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
So
you're there all the time. You're doing a lot of the craftsmanship yourself. You're bartending. You're crushing it. All of your time and energy is going into this place.
Yeah.
When did you? I mean, gosh, you paid your brother back in a really short amount of time. It must have been a fairly quick turnaround. I mean, was there a time when you were like, holy crap, what have I done? Like, this is a big risk, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull this off. This is maybe more than I can do.
I'll tell you, that happened day one, because, what ends up happening, actually, this is a kind of a funny story, so I didn't tell you this one. So came to the bar. So what ends up happening in New York anyway is you're supposed to pick up the existing liquor license as they close the doors for the last time, and you're supposed to go into New York City to the State Liquor Authority and get your temp, hand in that license and get your temp.
Okay.
So we had arranged for me to pick up the old license at like 2 a.m. when they literally were going to close their doors for the last time. And I remember my apartment is overlooking the bar and actually overlooking the patio, and they had a real Fight Club scene happen. So basically 2 guys came out and the whole bar came out. And they had one-on-one in the back, and then it got out of control where someone got the better of somebody else, and then it just turned into just a mass brawl. So it was literally like, what's that famous American movie, the fight in the bars?
Roadhouse?
Yes.
Ah.
Thank you. And so it was just the wildest scene. So when I eventually walked into the bar at 2 o'clock in the morning, there was broken glass everywhere, blood everywhere, and I literally walked up to the owner, and he says, "You can have it," and he just handed me his license. That was my introduction to the bar. And then so the next morning I went to the State Liquor Authority. He owned it for 16 years, and he was just done, and then I went into the State Liquor Authority, handed in my license, got my temp, came back, and I had placed all my orders prior. So, I pull up, and there's just like, now I'm used to it, but I pull up and there's like, 10 trucks out the back, like delivering liquor and beer from this company and that company and the plumber and the vending company. And I was just like, what the hell did I start? Yeah. It was pretty overwhelming at the beginning.
Yeah.
And then it was just kind of, at that time I didn't have a kid, I didn't own a house. I had a very understanding girlfriend, although this definitely put some strain on that, I mean, you'd be the first to admit that at the beginning, because, it was time-consuming and all-consuming, and it just things come at you from all angles. But it was fun, too, don't get me wrong, it was fun. And the first few years were wild, yeah. And but it started showing that progress, and as I said, I was able to put every single dollar back into the place for the first 5 years, because I didn't have that many financial obligations personally,
Right.
That really helped.
So you're in there, and now at this point though, I know you own the building. Did you own the building
No,
then,
I was
or-
renting at the
Okay, so
beginning,
you're
and
renting.
then that was a huge thing. I mean, a lot of listen, like everything in life, you need a bit of luck too, and 2 years in, I did know. I mean, I'd heard that owning the building obviously is amazing if you have the opportunity, and so. I got friendly with the landlady's husband, and he was a retired fireman, and he was kind of the maintenance guy. They owned a lot of property, and this was just one of those buildings. It was kind of an old falling down building too, and not very well maintained over the years. So basically, what ended up happening, so right next to Mary Carroll's was 800 square feet, and right next door was a bagel store that they owned as well. That vacated, and they were cleaning it up. He was cleaning it up, the landlady's husband, and then accidentally broke a pipe. And then what ended up happening was he couldn't find the shut off because he wasn't that familiar with the building. And then he was running up and down stairs so many times he thought he ended up having a heart attack. So he was so done with this building, he just didn't want to deal with looking after it anymore. So he convinced her, after me asking for 2 years straight, almost every month, please sell me the building, please sell me the building. She eventually, gave in and said, you know what, and she sold it. But what actually happened in the first 2 years is I had an opportunity to buy a house, just before that actually. And I always say to people, because I learned that lesson just by it happening to me, that if I bought that house, I never would have been able to buy the building. So I always say, if there's ever a chance to buy the building that your business is in, and you're thinking about buying a house, buy the building.
Buy the building first.
Yeah.
So you were able, okay. So you had not bought the house. So now you're able to go. Did you get like an SBA loan or something, or how did you buy the?
That's
or did they
another
do
thing I
owner
learned.
financing,
Exactly. She held the note, which was massive. And that is, a lot of people that were like, and I wouldn't have been able to get a loan. I wasn't making,
I was wondering how.
you know what I mean, at
okay.
that stage, I wouldn't have been able to convince a bank to give me a loan, and she was savvy enough too. Oftentimes you'd be surprised. Owners will hold a note. And that is a really great way
How
to
long
buy
did it take
building.
you to pay it off?
It took me, I think, 15 years.
15 years.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
in it free and clear now.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, very fortunate. It came with the and one other little storefront next door, which I'm still have plans to expand into. For party room and bigger bathrooms and all that stuff. And it's got a couple of apartments. And it's a mixed use building. But I was lucky. Timing is everything. But yeah, as I said, building before a house, major lesson,
Do you? Okay.
if possible, of course.
Yeah, I'm not particularly in commercial real estate. I'm thinking about this. Okay, so the owner would hold the note.
Yeah.
And the advantage to them versus selling is they're going to make, if they believe in you and the business, they're going to make more over 15 years, a lot more than if they just take cash now
And pay
then they have
capital
to
gains tax and all
pay
that
the
up front.
tax.
Yeah.
Then they have to figure out where do you redeploy the tax. So you go, okay, well, this is how much if we have some interest rate that I'm going to earn over 15 years and like an annuity for 15
Right.
years. Yeah.
Yeah. So
That makes a lot of okay.
They
got
get
it.
a little bit better rate than the bank, but if you're, if you can get a bank loan, great, but if you can't get a bank loan, there's
That's a good way,
It's a
yeah.
good way to do it, and then you can always get a bank later,
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, and plus if you're the landlord, if something happens with you and you're halfway through, you can always just still sell the building because you're not through buying it yet.
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. They have the collateral. They got.
Oh, that's
yeah.
interesting.
It's
Okay.
a great way to go. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Good job, dude. Well done.
No, thank you. That was, what that enabled me to do, to be honest with you, is basically really, really pump money back over the years back into the building
into
and
the
not
building.
have to worry about
Yeah.
that. I'm really just improving my landlord's
Well,
bill.
that's why I was wondering because
Yeah.
when you're doing that, all that money you were putting back in, it's just it's helping your business, but it's also
It's
helping the building owner.
absolutely.
Yeah,
So very lucky in that sense, and it just made owning the business more enjoyable because you're seeing, basically it's a prideful thing. You put you're making the place like really stand out.
Yeah.
And it's hard to do that when you're, it's, I don't know, I wouldn't sleep as well at night if I was just doing that for the landlord. No offense to all those landlords out there. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Do you okay, so just for my context, like we went in that place down in Waxhaw this morning. Is your place like same size, bigger, Like, what?
You know what?
Just
It's
trying to get in my head. I've seen your pictures, but it's
yeah.
hard
You
to,
know what? It's deceiving because it started out with 800 square feet and this kind of beat up patio, the overgrown, and all that kind of stuff, and the patio grew over the years.
Yeah.
And then basically I ended up taking over the bagel store, which was the same size again. And then what really, a really huge thing that happened was during COVID. We got word down from the state, Albany, that basically in the middle of July we could expand if we had, our privately owned property. If we got your local municipality's permission, we could expand into that to spread everybody out. So I had 12 parking spaces behind Mary Carroll's for the apartments and for Mary Carroll's. And I went out there with two of the bartenders and we were just kind of having a look at it and kind of going, yeah, that's great. But, this is blacktop and it's New York and it's like, 100 degrees out here. And then I just said, but would it be pretty cool if this was all sand? And it was a joke, to be honest with you. And then we just all looked at each other and we're like, oh my God. So the next day I had 3 dump trucks filled the parking lot with sand, and we put some retaining things there and 6x6s or whatever, and we just put 6 inches of sand around the place and made it a beach theme, and it really took off.
That's awesome. So
Yeah.
this is is it still there, or did y'all?
It's it's still there, yeah. And we got a great write up. We got a 2-page write up in the big newspaper up there in Newsday. And online with that, and it was really cool, and people loved it, and thankfully it's still there.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So it gave us 15 picnic tables, which is a lot of space.
That's a
Extra.
lot of space, yeah.
On top of our
sure.
patio,
So I bet it's just bustling this time of year through the fall or whatever.
Yeah, we're actually sprucing it up right now as we speak. Yeah, so it's awesome to have.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
So, okay, so all these years, you've obviously built a wonderful business. You have a very robust, large, sizable group of loyal, regular customers.
Thankfully.
Yeah. And one of the things, though, I want to get into what you did during COVID that has turned into this, from like a little something for your business has turned into a separate business and stick. So tell the origin story about all this. And
so my old roommate, actually, in that apartment next to the bar, basically I went on to owning the bar next door, and he ended up coming over here on a soccer scholarship from Ireland, actually, and he ended up going on to become head of digital marketing at the NFL. So he got a big job at the NFL, and we were hanging out in a bar in Babylon one night, having a burger, and I just said to him kind of casually, this is about close to 5 years ago now, actually, and I just said, how about you use all this big tech stuff, or the tools that you're using, for the NFL, to help your friends' little bar over here in Babylon, and that was just a conversation that it took off, and over the next year we talked about it very casually, not very seriously, but just kind of like ideas share and conversation, and then literally we got shut down from COVID, March 2020, and then basically March 2020 we were shut down, and then he came to me and said, hey, how about we get a bit more serious and start talking about that idea. And then I'm like, I'd really like to come out of COVID with something to help me, reach out to my customers. And so we basically looked at what are the real big things that all the big companies are using. Obviously everybody emails, but we know the response rate of emails has diminished over the last few number of years. Basically, it's harder to get through.
Yeah.
To get to people, it's harder to even get their emails.
Yeah.
And then we looked at apps, and we were like, you got to get people to download the app, turn on notifications for the app, find the app, not delete the app, and apps are expensive. And then we just started talking about texting, and then we realized that yes, small businesses are emailing and have access to apps maybe, but most small businesses are not texting, and basically most of them are not texting, and even and if you didn't text and you wanted to text, you really wouldn't even know where to find a texting. I don't know, outside of people using our tool, I don't know anybody who's texting. basically even in my little village. So what ended up happening then is we realized, okay, texting is the missing link here for small businesses. Everybody does a bit of marketing. They do print advertising, Instagram, Facebook, whatever. But they're reaching out to the broader world out there, trying to get new customers in there more often than not. But they're not concentrating on their existing customers and working on that way to communicate to their existing customers. So basically what we did is, we kind of figured out what we wanted the texting tool to do. And then Aidan, my former NFL head of digital, by the way, he's now head of Williams Formula One racing team digital. And he said, listen, I know who can build this thing for us. It's a company called Slytrunk in California. They actually built the fantasy football app for the NFL.
What is it called?
Slytrunk.
Okay.
Yeah. Slytrunk.
Slytrunk.
Yeah.
Like it sounds. Okay.
So the one of the owners there, he actually built the first ever fantasy football app when he worked for Yahoo. Then same thing for ESPN. Then they started their own company, and they built the fantasy football app for the NFL and have been managing it to this day actually. So he asked them for a price, and they came back actually a week later to build this tool for us, and said, actually, we think this thing is such a good idea. We want to be your partner. And as I say, thanks to them, we would probably be broke if we were paying for the development of this thing. So ultimately, what it really does, it's just super simple. We give people a QR code to put on their menus, or it doesn't have to be a restaurant, but I mean, primarily most of our customers are now, because that's the relationships I have, and it's just been slowly growing out of those relationships. And we're actually doing a nationwide ad campaign now too. But basically, we just give you a QR code. Your customers scan in place, so you can put the QR code on your menu, on your tables, in signage, on your receipts. And your customers literally, they only sign up for text if they want to text. But what we do is we actually say, we give you a free drink on sign up. So they scan the QR code, they give you their name and number and their date of birth if you want to give them a birthday reward. And then literally instantly, in my case, it's all customizable, but they get a free drink, up to $10 value is what we've set it for. And they basically, now you have that person's contact information that they willfully gave you, because you gave them some value, you gave them a free drink. And now, you don't overdo it. You don't bombard the person, but, on average, about once a week, you send out a text and let them know, what's going on. And just general information. It could be like, there's a band on this night, or, we just add a new menu item. Or basically you can incentivize, by basically saying we got a wing special, or 2 for 1 this night and that night. And the real difference there is you can, when you do one of them, you can actually measure it. That's the difference, So you send out a text, and that text will come in with a QR code on the bottom, and you can set it up. So basically your employees, whether it be, the manager, the waitress, the bartender, or somebody behind the cash register, scans with their phone. And basically, say you send a text to 1,000 people, you will literally know how many people responded to that message that you sent out.
Oh, so this is how you A/B test and realize what's working, what's not working, what's driving results.
Yeah, you get the analytics, and you'll know, and you literally have a record of what worked and what didn't work, and then you obviously wouldn't repeat the duds, and then you start learning yourself what works for your business, Like, I did a wing night, once a month, and that's a real hit. I mean, truthfully, in my case, that's probably the biggest hit, and basically the customer wants you to reach out to them,
Well, they gave you, yeah. And the thing about, text is, we've been talking about this a lot, even just at Schedulefly recently, because we have an app, but we allow our customers to send as many texts as they want, whether that's, with shift trades, or if it's communication like, hey, everybody, we got a meeting tomorrow, whatever it is.
Right.
We sent 22 million texts last year. Our customers did.
Wow.
98% of texts get read.
That's it.
The problem with the apps now is you have so many apps with so many notification alerts. You either turn off the alerts or you don't see the alerts, because every app's got alerts. Right. And but texts get read. Like, you want to get something to somebody, text is going to get read.
That's it.
And so I love this so much. I would be a challenge for you with this guy, because I don't have a way to scan a QR code. But Do you ever have any people that come in and say, I got a flip phone? How do I get
Very
your text?
few.
Do you have a way to set them up?
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, we have a guy with a flip phone and he can scan. So I don't really know how the hell that works. What kind of flip phone he's got.
He might have a razor or something like that. But I'm certainly an anomaly with that. But so now, and how many what is it, subscribers, I guess would you say, do you have at your...
So we did sorry.
You have like 5,000? Yeah, Mary Carroll's?
We've signed up over the last 3.5 years. We've signed up 8,500.
8,500.
Of which we have almost 5,500 retained. So
what does that mean? Oh, so somebody might say
if
stop
anybody said
if
stop,
they move or whatever.
They move or they, basically they just don't want to text anymore. Or, I mean, and then you don't want to be texting people who don't want to be texted. You know what I mean?
Well, that's the easy thing is you just say stop.
You stop. You text stop and you're out. And but 5,500 retained is actually a really good retention. And those are people who you're reaching them, as you said,
5,000 people that you can text.
Yeah, and
once a week and just boom.
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, the things there. I mean, I don't know what's happening now with, like, the political texts are going off the charts. It's ridiculous because you say stop and then it comes from another number. And
I'm blocking daily.
Like, but what's cool about this is, like, if somebody says stop, then they're not going to get more text.
That's
it.
And sometimes they regret that because then they hear of another special or something
from
their friends going down for it, and they're like, "Why am I not getting it?" And then they opt back in again. They just hit start and they're back in.
Okay.
So that happens too, But yeah, it's basically most of these marketing tools out there are designed to try and reach out and get a new customer when it's been proven over and over that you actually have a way better chance of increasing your business by actually getting your existing customers to come in more often if you entice them.
Just keep them coming in. Just take great care of those people.
Exactly.
And
look after
keep
the
them
ones
coming in. They'll spread the word.
They're loyal.
They're like, that's what it's really interesting. I was telling you about on the way over here that the last time I'd been in New York was to film those guys at the meatball shop. And that's actually something that they talked about, which was they grew really quickly. They had 6 locations at the time. And they were saying, what we've learned is, like, they were really good at PR and marketing and all this stuff. But they were like, the problem is, like, you can get people to come in, but can you keep them coming back? That's the, like, sure, you can get people to come in all day long, but if their experience sucks and you spend all that money and PR and everything else, but if it's not a great experience, like, great, they came once.
Right.
That doesn't do it. It's actually harmful probably to the business because you only got them once. They didn't like the experience. Now they're probably going to tell people, like, don't go to that place or you might get a bad review or whatever. The key is, like, just take really, like, within your 4 walls, you control everything that happens. Right. We can take incredible care of these people.
Exactly.
And if these people want to be part of our text, then, like, we keep them coming back, and then that list of 5 gets to 5,500 and then 6,000 and whatever, and then it grows over time. But these are people that want to be there, and then they're telling their friends.
Right.
And
we actually, so you just reminded me there. So basically, we realized we were 90% there when we built out the texting tool to include a rewards tool. So we actually built a rewards tool that comes with it. And basically, it's dollars spent or visits. So it's kind of like the old-fashioned digital punch card. So you could just set it up so that they come in 9 times, they get the 10th appetizer free. They're on their 10th visit. Or so that's another way to do it. But as there's an awful lot of focus, as I said, on grabbing the new customer, and not enough on retaining the existing customer.
Yeah, and you've already. I mean, once they're there, it's like that's the. Like, now you got them. Like,
they want you to.
They want you to take great care. Yeah,
they want that communication. That's what they want. You know what I mean?
Okay, Conor. I'm fascinated with this. I've always wondered about this, so now I have somebody I can actually ask with evidence and understanding of this. I've always found the loyalty apps or the rewards thing. I'm fascinated by it because, like, for instance, I used to have an iPhone. And when I did, I had the Smoothie King app. And before we moved, I used to go to the gym, to the Y, and they had a Smoothie King in it. And every day, I would go in the morning, I'd work out, and I'd go to Smoothie King. Well, I had this app, and I would just scan it, and then, like, my 10th smoothie or whatever was always free.
Yeah.
And in my mind, I'm like, you guys are like totally losing out because I'm coming anyway. Like,
Right,
you know what I mean? Like,
Oh yeah.
like I'm going to be there every day anyway. Now you're just kind of giving away a free smoothie that I would have bought. I've always wondered, like, does it keep people coming more than they would when they can get that? They're like, oh, I'm going to go there because I want to get, now that's my 8th visit and I know
You know what? I think overall it's been proven, or I always look at the big guys and try and learn from them, and
Right.
very inexpensively by just learning. I can only imagine what money is spent on research and development and Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts and
yeah.
all those guys, and they know that if
They
you
know.
give a percentage back, people are going to be more loyal, and want to come if they have a choice of going to their local coffee shop or this or that, or go here and actually get something back every time. I think they're going to choose the latter.
Yeah, it works.
It does work.
It does. I mean,
Same
I'm
thing
always
with
like,
airlines. Sorry, you know what I mean? Yeah.
oh, that's very true.
You're
right.
Yeah, they know. I think you're getting a free flight. Actually, I thought I got a free flight coming here today. Of course, it's not a free flight. You know what I mean? But
it feels like
it feels like a free flight. Yeah,
because you just gave them all your business all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Well, there you go. I mean, it just flat out works. Yeah, I mean, and that's okay.
Loyalty definitely works. I actually think it's the most powerful part of the whole tool. But a lot of one thing we did is we just kept our tool independent from tying in with anything else, so that basically you can always have your loyalty with us, and it doesn't switch out if you change your POS and that kind of thing. So that's helpful for our tool, and it also helps keep the cost way down. So basically you can we've just focused on that. The text communications with your own customers, with your existing customers. And by the way, that's another thing really important to us, was that you own your own data. Like a
Right.
lot of,
That's all. Yeah.
like
Okay.
the DoorDashes and the Uber Eats of the world. They own your data.
They own the data.
Yeah.
Okay. So you got this thing going. You guys started using it, and then now you've got people around y'all that that you've told that are using this.
Yeah.
It must be so. It's if you live near y'all, that's really cool because you got all these places where you can get these texts from. It's not. I mean,
It's very cool. And actually,
This is not. I'm sure there must be other companies. I want to ask you about that do something similar, but I don't. I mean, maybe some of our. I mean, we got 5,500 restaurants. I've never heard of any of our customers doing this. I don't know. Maybe somebody does, but
you know what? Not with the analytics that we have.
Yeah.
I mean, basically, there are companies out there, but some of them are very complicated, very sophisticated, and more geared for bigger corporations that might have a marketing person in the back end or a tech person who can figure this thing out. And the end of the day, once you're set up, there are literally only 2 buttons, and we even highlighted them in red, that you'll ever use. Basically a broadcast button and a message and measure button, and they're almost the same thing. But broadcast is if you really don't want to track the reaction, and the message and measure is when the QR code comes in at the bottom of the same text, and you will literally know, I sent a text to 1,000 people and 45 walked in the door on my worst day of the week, kind of thing. You'll know. So that's pretty powerful.
That's extremely powerful. So, okay, so where are we with the business right now? How many folks are using it? What's next?
So we purposefully did a very slow rollout. So basically, it was actually myself. I was the guinea pig, of course, Mary Carroll's, and I asked our friends at Napper Tandy's, they're a very well known and very well liked group of bars in Long Island, to be also the guinea pig, and they did that, and they use it consistently, and they love it. And then actually one of our the company I used to work for, Lily Flanagan's, one of the owners was in Napper Tandy's, and he's like, what the hell is this thing? And they said, go talk to Conor. And then right away he put in 6 of their restaurants. So we weren't even selling it, and it was kind of getting legs.
Yeah.
But it's really all word of mouth from me, and not aggressively or in any way, shape, or form. I never want to do that anyway. But basically, more like conversational and kind of getting it out there, and kind of basically, I wanted to make sure, certainly myself personally, we did, but a lot of these guys I know, and I've told them I wouldn't be coming to you if I didn't know it or didn't work, and we did it very slowly, a little nerve-wracking, because being in the tech world, that things can happen really quickly, and somebody can wipe your eye. So now we're at the point where we're definitely small, but we have it thoroughly tested and ironed out. And actually, it was more so very little bugs, or whatever you want to call it. But It was more so to get feedback, and we got great ideas. So, for instance, we had an owner of one bar, and he said, can I text just people who are interested in singles night, right? And we said, no, actually you can't, but that's a great idea. So what we did was we built in custom filters. So you don't want to be asking people 10 questions when they sign up for a platform, to get a text or whatever. But we debated this long and hard, and we figured out the right number is probably around 3. So you can put in your own custom questions. So if you want to be one of those questions to be, are you interested in getting a text about singles night? That could be it. Are you interested in getting a text about live music?
Oh, you can customize the 3 questions, but you got 3 questions to work with.
Yeah, and say, in my case, you have 5,000 people to text. When you go to send that text, it'll actually have a drop-down box for filters, and you can literally pick just those who expressed an interest in a certain thing. Like, for instance, in my case, I picked one of my custom questions was, do you interested? Because I'm a late-night bar. I'm open until 3:30 in the morning, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And for 20 years, it was 4:30 in the morning. But I said, do you want to get a late night text? So, basically we send out a shot special at midnight, on a Friday, and people who are maybe sitting in another bar go, wow, that's cool. Let's head over to Mary's. They're doing a shot special, that kind of thing. So the custom filter thing is really cool. And it's also, we kind of want to partner with the establishment on minimizing their messaging costs. So that reduces your messaging costs too. You know what I mean? So basically, if you're
because you're only sending it to a third of your audience, or whatever whoever said.
Yeah.
Okay, tell me about the pricing.
So for the software, it's $99 a month for per establishment, per bricks and mortar. And then it's 1.5 cents for a regular text and 4 cents for a picture text. So if you were to send out a regular text to 1,000 people, it costs $15. That's it. Mm-hmm. So, I send out a text to 5,000 plus, it costs me $75. The first 1 or 2 people that walk in the door paid for that text.
So you would spend, if you did one a week, 5,000 people, $300 a month plus 90, so $400 a month. And you're going to make that up. If you can't make up $400 a month and then some and get a great return on that with 5,000 people for that,
and the beauty of it is it's directly proportional to how big your establishment
is. And how
so
many,
if you're a shoe shop, there's as we're talking restaurants, but if you're a tiny little restaurant or a coffee shop and you have 100 or 200 people, 200 people that text costs you $3. Yeah. So it really works, and we thought long and hard about the pricing, and there is, as a bar owner, as I said, for 27 years, there is nothing, no bill smaller than $99 a month. We don't have a bill that exists. So that's why we thought that was a good price.
You're about to have one.
Yeah. Right.
Schedule Fly is less than $99.
Oh, yeah. Well, there you go. Thank you. Yes. Just signed up for that. So very excited about that.
Yeah.
Switching over probably from 7 shifts to save, 70%.
Yeah, you'll save a lot of money. And we probably should, but we're weird. I mean, we've never raised our prices. So, but yeah, $99 is a fair price. You're driving people into the business. I mean, that's a great deal, man. And I got to tell you, well, let me ask, okay, so then if let's say you've got 8 locations, it's $99 per
location.
Yeah, and you could put it in all of them and some of them or whatever.
And that's another request that we had. So the first one that came up with this was Lily Flanning's. They have 6 locations, and actually some of them are branded differently. You got the local, the villager, you got a few different ones. So basically they said, listen, we want to be able to text individually, but there will be times when we want to do a blanket text across all of the, to everybody in all 6 of the establishments.
Yeah.
And we didn't have that ability, and we built that ability. We have the flexibility that if somebody comes up with a good enough idea and we think it's going to benefit them and the product, we do it.
Can I give you some advice on that?
Oh, please. All yours.
If you here's the challenge with a simple software and a team that can write great additional features and benefits and write code and add things in there is most software businesses, we've been super, super deliberate about this. Most software businesses keep adding and adding and adding, and something that started out real simple becomes complicated.
Right.
And we've seen it we've seen it in our space. We've seen it with all of our competitors.
Yep.
10 years ago, we all, I mean, I would always say we've always had the simplest, but like things that were simpler get more complicated. Because guess what? Oh, yes, we can add that. Let's just write some lines of code. And then now you have this.
It's another feature that has to be explained.
I wrote this blog post once, Conor, and I was like, I said, this was early on, and we did this. I'm not saying what you're doing is awesome, and that's exactly what we did with Schedulefly, which is we would listen to our customers, and when we heard a request made repeatedly, it was very clear it wasn't just one customer's kind of like pet need.
Yeah, it would benefit everybody.
And we go, okay, we've heard this a lot. We should do that.
Right.
Versus like, but we early on, we would hear, I mean, every week it'd be like, hey, can you do that? Hey,
yes.
And if you don't get really good at saying no at the right time, I wrote this post once. I was like, we might get 10 requests a week if we just did one of those things. One thing's like, that's one more button, one more bell, one more checkbox.
It's 50 a year. Yeah.
50 a year. 5 years later was my math. 250.
Yeah.
You went from simple to complicated, period, end of story. And now somebody's going to see that and go, oh, well, look, this is this complicated why don't we build a simple thing? Like, you know, like, so a lot of companies get, I mean, even Salesforce, like Salesforce used to be like, it came because Oracle was complicated and bloated, and Salesforce is like, we're in the cloud and it's easy and it's clean. And 20 years ago it was, or 15 years ago, I have friends now. We had a guys' night the other night, and one of my friends said, somehow Salesforce came up, and he goes, if y'all brought a new dude over here tonight that you introduced to our group of friends and you said he works at Salesforce, my friend said, I wouldn't talk to him the whole night. I hate Salesforce. And,
really?
And it was because he's like,
too complicated.
It takes forever. He goes, it takes so much of my time just to use this stupid tool now. And anyway.
And it started simple.
It started simple. That was the whole thing. But so many software businesses, because of the ability to punch keys on a keyboard to write code, that it just, you have to find like, where's our perfect spot where we're like, hey, if we need to have all these things, we're not doing this because, and you'll get competitors will do that. Everybody else will do it. Just keep it simple. I mean, I know you know this, but like through experience, it's been a big boon to us because we're now like, we are the simple provider now, and there is nothing else simple. So when people want simple, they use Schedulefly. If they want all the other stuff, well, guess what? There's 15 companies that do that. They're all competing for that audience. Right. But people that just want simple.
And that's exactly, we're exactly the same. We're competing at the simplistic level. And when I say that, it's obviously a sophisticated product. But on the back end, and that's actually what I joke, not even jokingly, but I mean, I say it often. What I bring is, I am not the most craziest tech savvy person, as a business owner, but I'm, partnered with these guys who are, incredibly sophisticated, and they know this thing inside out. And I've said from the get go, it's just, I literally, it's got to be something that a regular person who's not a tech person understands. And that's why we literally highlighted those, as I said, those 2 buttons. There's just really only 2 ways to send out a text. You're either measuring the results or you're not measuring the results. Yeah. And then there's the automatic. As I said, one kind of important thing is, as I said, the birthday one I mentioned earlier. For instance, I have 4 people on average come in every week for their birthday. And it's all customizable. So I give them a free $50 gift card to spend on food and drink. Nobody comes in on their own. So that's working in the background. It's automatic. You said it once. You go, what do you want to give to somebody on their birthday? I send out the text automatically a week before their birthday, and it's valid for 2 weeks. So, because, not everybody's Friday and Saturday is Friday and Saturday. It could be any day of the week, you know what I mean? And they have 2 weeks to celebrate it with us, and they love it. They'll tell a friend. It helps the business. You got a happy customer, that way. But that's set it and forget it. One of those things. Yeah.
That's such a good tool, man. Y'all built something so awesome, particularly for small businesses. They don't, oh my gosh. And you said like it could be the shoe shop, the freaking local bookstore, but gosh, Conor, the number of restaurants and breweries and distilleries.
We're in a bunch of breweries. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it is such a great tool.
Thank you.
So are you prepared to, like, how are you going to handle, like, you're on this podcast, we have a good audience, you're going to
Right.
get, and then, with Schedulefly, I want to talk to you about, like, how can we tell our customers about this? Are y'all geared up to scale and grow if you have a lot of people coming in and signing up?
We
How
are,
do you
and
sound?
I'll
Actually,
tell
let's
you.
talk through that.
Yeah.
Okay, I listen to this podcast. I hear this. I'm like, hey, I got a coffee shop in, Biloxi, Mississippi, and this sounds awesome. What happens? What do I do?
You just go on Connect with Stick, www.connectwithstick.com.
Connectwithstick.com.
Yeah, and then basically, there's a very simple website, explains it all, and there's a start your free trial button. You get the first month free, and then basically you just sign up right then and there, and you're in. And at the beginning, I'll be honest with you, you're wondering, can we scale? So the guys were laughing at our numbers because they were so small. You know what I mean? Because they're used to dealing
They're
with
used to be right.
They're
Sure.
the fantasy football after the NFL. You can imagine
Millions and millions,
yeah,
tens of millions of people downloading this app. Yeah.
So they were like, really, that's good. I'm like, yeah, 40 people coming in on a Tuesday responding to, texts about wings, and on the worst day, what used to be our worst day of the week. It's not our worst day of the week anymore, but that's actually an amazing number. That's a fantastic number for any business. We've had many bigger numbers than that, but even 10 extra people coming into your bar or restaurant on your worst day of the week is a lot. But and then it's kind of like, actually, one other thing I forgot to mention is we have for a while now the ability to upload numbers. So if you have a database, it's not just those that you gather from the QR. All of my numbers, I'd never had a database of numbers before, so my retained 5,500 phone numbers in my 1,600 square foot bar. That's all people who scanned and signed up. But you can, if you have a database, you can just upload those numbers. You can get access to your phone company's records for your business, how many people have called in, and you can upload those numbers. They'll give you those numbers. Open Table will give you this number who actually will share, which is pretty huge. And I tell you.
But can you text people if they haven't?
You can send a compliance text. The first text is just like basically we just started a new thing.
Hey, this is Mary Carroll. Like,
yes.
Would you like to opt in?
Yeah, exactly, or opt out. If you're not interested. But there are an awful lot of businesses out there that have been gathering numbers. We talked to one restaurant that became a customer, and they shall remain nameless. But just for this reason, they've been in business 34 years, and I asked them, have you been collecting numbers? And they said yes for the last 20 years. And I said, what do you do with those numbers? And they just kind of looked at me and I'm like, we just have them from when they called to reserve a table, and they did nothing with them. And I said, we can take those numbers and upload them into the system, and you would actually talk to them for the first time ever, via text. Send them a message, send them a, 2-for-1 appetizer, I don't care how busy your business is, there's going to be some hours in the week that you are not busy.
Yeah.
Nobody's busy every waking hour.
Right.
Unless you're, Penn Station, Grand Central Station, or whatever. Even those guys, I'm sure they have a couple of hours where they're quieter than other hours. So, if you're a very busy place, even, it'll still work for you because they're going to be those hours. So you gather the numbers 7 days a week, and you upload whatever numbers you have, and then you try and incentivize people to come in on your quieter times, and make yourself busier that way,
It's actually something I'm curious, because when we if you go into Schedulefly and you're a new user, you have to go in and click your My Account page and check that you want to receive texts.
Yeah.
And we've been doing that a while. Now, I think our attorney recommended that years ago, but I feel like it sounds like we should be able to just send texts and say if you don't want them.
Yeah, you can say, opt out, or just hit stop and you're out.
Yeah, because see, everybody has to go. I'd rather, like, as an employer, I would want to make sure that my employees are like auto set up to get like part of
right
because they need to know when I want to tell them something.
Yeah.
And so, okay, it's interesting. All right, I want to explore that offline, but I want to. Yeah, we could learn a lot from y'all, from what you've learned about that. So, So you don't have to have, you're kind of like what we've done, where people can just come to the site, they sign up, they get 30 days free,
Yep.
and if they like it, they start paying.
Exactly.
Do you have plans to hire in salespeople to go out and do this, or are
We do.
you still doing the slow burn?
We do. I mean, yeah. As we grow, we're actually looking at hiring as a sales on boots on the ground salespeople right now.
Boots on the ground sales,
yeah.
like in New York.
Yeah, it's starting in New York. Yeah.
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 Okay.
So every avenue, yourself, you got to get the word out there.
Yeah.
Including coming to Charlotte for a fantastic podcast.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
With yourself, and
Well,
thank
we
you.
can talk about how could Schedulefly let our customers know about this, because it's a really valuable. It's just a very valuable tool. And
Thank you.
what I like about it, and what I know our customers particularly would like about it, is the simplicity. I mean,
Right.
look, we have a lot of competition. But we've got 1,000 customers that have been on Schedulefly for 10 years, and even Jared said, like, and by the way, shout out to Jared.
Yes.
At GoTab, who connected us.
Thank you, Jared.
But when he was at 7 Shifts, he said, like, your customers were really hard to, like they're real loyal, and
Right.
they like simple tools.
Yeah.
Like if you use Schedulefly, it's in large part probably because you like simplicity.
Right.
So what you're doing is simplicity, and it's good that you have you. I totally agree, because there has been billions of dollars invested into restaurant tech over the last decade. Private equity, venture capital. So much of that money and so many of those businesses are run by tech people who think restaurants should do something this way.
Right.
We're changing the world, and it's almost like restaurants need them to come in and solve problems for them.
Yeah.
In a weird way, it's a little bit of a patronizing attitude versus like, I own a restaurant. I know what I need, and I know that all my peers, a lot of them are going to feel the same way. But having you balance out like tech people that are like, oh, obviously they should. Well, not obviously. Like if you haven't run a restaurant, you don't know, and you don't know what's obvious. And to you as a programmer, somebody with this brilliant idea but if you've never run a restaurant, it's like, a lot of them have this view, like why don't these people understand how valuable my product is? Well, because dude, have you ever run a restaurant? Like,
Right.
No. So you've never been in their shoes. Like it may seem obvious to you, but it's not for them, because you got this thing that's doing all this stuff. They have 1,000 things they have to do every day. Like to run a restaurant is just massively diverse and broad set of skills that you have to get right. So you can't and meanwhile, what's come out with those billions of dollars of investment? Oh, I don't know, 1,000, 2,000 restaurant tech companies, all trying to call on you and your peers, like use this. It's like over freaking whelming.
And man of all trades, master of none is the common denominator.
That's exactly right. Yeah. We do it all.
It's like,
but not real well.
They'll be offering to polish your shoes next. You know what I mean? No, I just want to, if I want a texting thing, I want a texting thing. If I want a scheduling thing, I want a scheduling thing. I don't want you to be the,
You don't have to do everything. By the way, all the eggs in one basket, when that thing goes down,
exactly.
Ruh-roh. That's a problem.
You're locked in,
Yeah, man.
Yeah, and actually, the conversations we've had have been fascinating over the last 4 years. So with Slytrunk, the development partner, because we're in two totally different fields, but basically you do need the insight from a small business owner, and you can't do it without the developer. So it's kind of like it's been super journey, and conversations have been. They've been exactly that. Like, really, that I wouldn't have thought. That's how people think, or and of course, I have no clue about coding. So we all need each other.
Oh, it's perfect.
Yeah.
It's perfect. All right, y'all. It is time for a little mid-episode break. We're going to talk about Kickfin. Thousands of restaurants, bars, and breweries use Kickfin to tip out their employees instantly. No cash required. With Kickfin, tips go directly to your employees' bank of choice the second their shift ends. It's a really simple solution to a really big problem, because if you're still paying out credit card tips in cash, it's costing you. Time-consuming bank runs and cash counting take managers away from work that matters. Cash is hard to track, which leads to accounting headaches, and it creates the perfect opportunity for theft, human error, and compliance issues. Bottom line, there's never been an instant secure way to pay out tips until Kickfin. It's an easy-to-use software that sends real-time, cashless tip payouts straight to your employees' bank accounts 24/7, 365. Kickfin gives managers hours back in their day, makes reporting a breeze, and protects your business from risk. Most importantly, employees love it. Restaurants can have Kickfin up and running overnight. Employees can enroll in seconds. No hardware, no contracts, no setup fees. Visit kickfin.com for a personalized demo. See how restaurants across the country are digitizing tips with Kickfin. All right, that's what they asked me to say, so I say it, and it tells the story very well, but I like to add this in. We referred a customer that we know and love very well, Sup Dogs, to Kickfin. Sup Dogs has been a customer for a super long time. Trust them very much with their opinion on these types of tools. They started using Kickfin. I asked Brett, the owner, recently how it's going. He said, Kickfin is perfect. It's going great. Exactly what we were hoping for. So there you go. Kickfin.com, y'all. Check them out. We are back, y'all. And so Conor and I have gotten to know each other. I mean, we just met a few weeks ago, but we've had a lot of phone conversations, really good conversations, and we share a lot of interests. And, you know, we're both middle-aged dudes who find value in taking care of ourselves and sport and being active. And, you know, you get more like this when you get a little older. When we were young bucks, you don't think about it as much, but you start to get to, you know, in your 40s and things start happening and injuries start happening. And then, and you know, a lot of people don't take, you know, it just gets harder to take good care of yourself. But for me, it's meant leaning into that even more as I've gotten older, because I want to feel young and feel active as long as I possibly can. And I find that when I take care of, you know, when I'm active, doing things I love, whether it be doing workouts or whether it be, you know, you and I share a love of paddleboarding or just activities that are both fun and get my blood flowing and help me stay physically healthy, then so much flows downstream from physical health. A lot of times mental health does. And the big benefit to me is when I'm doing that and investing into taking care of myself, then I'm a better business person. I'm a better family member,
Right.
father, husband, and I'm a better business person because I'm thinking clearer, and so much flows downstream from that. I know you and I share that, but you've had some interesting stuff happen, you know, over the years. So let's talk a little bit about your health journey, if we want to call it that, and
Sure.
where you are now, and why you are where you are now with that.
Well, I'll tell you right now, I've a self-imposed sabbatical. I just decided I want to knock the drinking on the head for a good purpose. You know, basically, I'm training right now I'm 57 years old, and I'm training right now to paddle for Ireland in the World Stand-Up Paddling Championships in Sarasota, Florida, in November. So I just want to give it my best shot. So I figured, let me just knock the drinking on the head. And there's a bit more to it than that. You know, basically, I mean, I got heavily involved in sports when I was a kid. You know, I lived near the River Shannon. As I said to you earlier, if you ever heard anyone called Shannon in America, they're named probably after the River Shannon, the big river in Ireland. So we lived walking distance to that river, and there was a rowing club, a crew club at the end of the street. So we all joined that. All my friends still to this day come from that crewing club, and my neighbors and all that. And I got really, really into that. And at 18 years old, I ended up getting picked to be on the Irish crew. To 4 guys, 2 from Northern Ireland, 2 from Southern Ireland, to represent Ireland in the World Rowing Championships in East Germany, which, of course, no longer exists.
Yeah.
But so, and then, you know, a couple of months shy of that, I ruptured a disc in my back and missed my shot at that. So, you know, I had it was fairly traumatizing for an 18-year-old to have that rug pulled. So I always was looking for, I suppose, some kind of comeback. And then that came at 42 years old. I ended up swimming the English Channel, you know, 14 hours and 19 minutes, you know. So,
Oh my gosh.
yeah, with my poor wife, Andrea, and my brother and sister and 12-year-old nephew on the sport boat next to me for all that time.
Really?
Yeah, so that was my vindication in my own head. Not that anybody cared, you know. But I mean, it was epic, you know, and it was just so cool that my family was there, and but then I found a new love, and then paddleboarding, you know, and then I started doing a couple of races with a non-racing paddle board. Then, of course, as you know, if you get it really into it, you start getting a carbon fiber board and the pointy boards, and you really, really get into it. And so I was actually training for, I've discovered that the World Championships was in Poland 2 years ago, and that we could go, and myself and my buddy Derry Woodhouse, he also crewed for Ireland back in the day. So he lived in New Hampshire, and we were going to go to Poland, and I was a month away from that training. I was actually probably the fittest I ever was at 55 years old. And, I was out for a paddle that morning, one morning, July 13th, 2022, and had a great paddle for an hour and a half on my own, no life jacket. And a couple hours later, I was visiting my mother-in-law at an assisted living facility, and I had a cardiac arrest. And then, my wife started CPR, and what ended up happening, a piece of plaque broke off in my main artery. They call it the Widowmaker for a reason. So she started CPR. The guys came, the West Babylon Fire Department came, and I flatlined again in the ambulance on the way to the hospital. They brought me back in the ambulance. Then I was in the hospital 6 hours later. I flatlined in the hospital. I was in a coma for 8 days. Then 3 days later, they gave me a bypass. A Good Sam Hospital, and basically the amazing thing is, there's many amazing things. I'm very lucky to be here, of course, but getting back to the health thing, basically I discovered a few months later that they couldn't find any damage in my heart. So my cardiologist said, "What do you want to do?" And I said, "I'd love to get back to racing if that's even possible." He said, "If you do it the right way and ease yourself back into it, anything's possible." And then basically we did a slow rehab and cardiac rehab in the hospital, then going to the gym and doing the real boring stuff on the treadmill, and then eventually getting back to being a little bit of paddling, and now I'm full on training. So a year and 3/4 later, and sorry, that's a long story, but
No,
that's the crazy story.
So you flatlined 3 times?
3 times, yeah, exactly, yeah.
What was the longest that you were out?
Probably not more than 4 minutes, because if you don't have oxygen for more than 4 minutes, you get brain damage, and I'm fortunate enough that did not happen.
And you don't remember any?
I don't remember anything. Yeah, the crazy thing is, as I say, my wife's the one who really suffered, but I don't remember a thing. I don't remember most of the time I was in the hospital. To be honest with you, your body's an
8
amazing
days
thing.
in a coma. Did they? Did you just wake up one day, or
I literally did just wake up one day. I mean, with their help, I woke up, and then basically they were, they were hoping to do the bypass, much earlier, but there were complications. I ended up having pneumonia, and lots of things went wrong. But I'm here, so amazing.
When you were in a coma, did they have any clue, or is it because your wife, like, I have no idea if and when he's going to wake up, or do they feel like?
They
just don't know, do they?
They don't know. Yeah, they don't know. It was day to day, basically, for 8 days.
Your wife did have to go through it, man.
Oh yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah. So sorry. Yeah, that's it's a wild ride, but listen, what I want, I do believe in exercise, and I do believe, as I said to you actually earlier, I've always seen business as a sport. I think if you have a background in sports, or if you want to get into sports, it will help you, because I also think if being a good sportsman, basically compete and fight like hell, but be a good sportsman, basically help out your fellow business people, share some knowledge, and it doesn't mean you're smarter than the other guy, but if you've been around for a little longer, you probably learned a few more lessons, and some of them the hard way. If you can prevent others from suffering,
amen. Agree.
Share it, and so. But yeah, I think I enjoy what I do, and as I said, there's always been that parallel between sports and it's competing, right? But competing without being an ass. You know what I mean? That's the way I like to sleep at night, and sleep well at night, and just try and do the right thing.
Well, look, I think you take your restaurant, and there's other restaurants and bars around you. I've never owned a restaurant, so but I hope I would look at it as like a rising tide lifts all boats. Like, I want people coming down. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like the sharpest owners that we've had on this podcast, like the ones that really embrace that, are all very successful. There's a gentleman I can think of in Greenville, South Carolina, Carl Sobosinski. He's got Table 301 Group. And when I went down there a year ago and had him on the podcast. And at that time, there were he's got several restaurants, but his main one's Sobeys. It's an iconic place. It's been there a long time, but there are these two like brand new, gleaming restaurants, that open across the street. I'm like, does that concern you? He goes, no, I love it because it just brings more people here to this part of this town, right? And he's like, I embrace that. I want that, because like we're going to keep doing what we do and do it well, and that just means that there's more people, and maybe they go there one night, but then they see
exactly.
I think that's a wise way to look at competition. And it also helps keep us on our toes. Like
that's true too. Competition does keep everybody on their toes. It makes everything better.
Everything better.
And truthfully, I mean, that's something I learned. You know what I mean? It was, because I've heard even new restaurant owners, bitching about oh my God, the new place opened next door. But I've been there, and I've seen that basically it actually, of course, it might help. It might hurt you for the first couple of weeks or months because, everybody wants to check out the new place. But over time, it's going to help you more than it's going to hurt you. It might even help you be on your toes more and produce
Embrace
a better product. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a mindset. Like you can look at it as a negative, and and it probably will become one, or you can look at it as a positive, and it probably will become one.
Right.
So okay, you are competing in. This is in Sarasota.
In November, yeah.
And what does this mean? Like, tell me the world.
Probably nothing to anybody but me. No, just for my own race. But no, I'm only joking. But basically, so there's the real, open divisions, which are literally the best in the world.
And this is a distance race.
Yeah, there's three disciplines. There's a 10K, 6 mile race. That's the long distance, and then there's the technical race, which is like a 1,500 meter race, around buoys and sharp turns and all that. I'm not a cat, as I say, so I'll probably not be doing that one. And then there's a sprint, which is 200 meters. So some people enter all three because they've traveled halfway around the world for this. The people.
This is a world championship?
It's the world championship. So basically, the open division is for literally the pros, and they're all sponsored by the board companies and that kind of thing. Most of them, not all of them, most of them. And then they have an over 40 division, and that's basically amateurs, and over 50s and over 40s, And then there's a junior. I think it's under 18.
So you do the over 50.
So I'll be doing the over 50.
In which discipline?
My thing is long distance, and actually I was always into really long, ultra kind of long distance. The Chattanooga race, 31 mile, Chattajack was my favorite race. But now I'm sticking to the standard long distance race is 10K, 6 miles.
You said you're competing for Ireland.
Yeah, it's still basically we'll be it's self declaring. To be honest, it's still a small enough sport. My buddy in Ireland, Spud, will be very quick to remind me that nobody in Ireland asked me to race this race.
No, but I mean, so you can. Yeah. Okay,
you
so
show your passport and you're Irish for the day.
Okay, I got you.
Well, I'm always,
But it's not like a Irish team, or
well, we
I mean, like an official sanctioned Irish team.
Only the open division do they recognize the national team.
Okay, I got
so they're actually the ones chosen to represent Ireland.
Did you first get into paddleboarding because of watching Laird Hamilton, or did you learn about him after you got into paddleboarding?
I pretty much right at the same time. I saw somebody in Hawaii out in the lineup standing on a board. I'm like,
when you were doing
what the hell is going on there? I didn't know what I was looking at. I thought my eyes were playing tricks on me, and very quickly I learned to Laird Hamilton. My first ever board was a Laird board, a Woody. Love the thing, still have it. It's absolutely beautiful, and he's a legend. Laird.
He surfs them. That's I got into it. The problem with the good thing about Hawaii and where he does a lot of his paddleboard surfing is these kind of long rolling breaking waves where I started going out at Pawleys Island, South Carolina, where it's like 3 foot waves. But they break harder, and it's
harder to maneuver.
Yeah. But I finally figured it out. It was hard. Man, I busted my ass 1,000 times, but I was so determined. And it is really, really cool because you got dudes out there surfing, and they're here, right? because they got to be able to like get close to where the waves
Right.
can break. Where your paddleboard, you're like standing up so you can see the waves coming, and you're further out,
Right.
and you like see one coming. You're like, okay, and you just start paddling,
Yep.
and then you just start rolling with that thing. And when you catch one and you ride it in, and you stay up the whole time, and then
That's
you
the best.
turn around and like the little 2-foot water.
Yeah.
And start paddling back, and then I got to where I could paddle back over the crashing waves and
Right.
just in. Oh, there's nothing better.
Nothing better.
Nothing better, man.
Yeah.
I freaking love it.
Yeah,
it's such good
it's addictive.
exercise.
And it's a great addiction. Yeah.
It's a great addiction.
Yeah.
It really is. No, well, look. So this is what interesting addiction. I think a lot of like guys and gals that push ourselves a lot with exercise. It is addicting because you're getting dopamine,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
I think as long as you don't overdo it, which I've been there before too, but it is a really healthy, quote, addiction. It's a healthy way to get dopamine.
Oh yeah.
My buddies and I, we do these. So you saw that pool today.
Right.
In the summertime, we do the same workouts that Laird and Gabby and them are doing. Like Robbie has been out there, and when we do it, we have a kettlebell workout and we develop this. But my tagline for everybody that comes out there is I always say, all right, you're going to earn your dopamine today. Earn your dopamine. And the reason we started saying that is, and part of the reason, honestly, that I got rid of my iPhone was that these screens are so addictive, and
Right.
it's little dopamine hits. And now we're starting to understand that, but like it's a really addictive thing, and you do get these little easily obtained dopamine hits.
Right.
Where you don't have to actually work for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it just keeps changing your baseline where you need more and more versus like doing this kind of stuff.
Right.
You're earning that dopamine. So it's a healthy way to do it. But it can be addictive. But now you're a guy who owns a Irish pub.
Right.
And has been drinking good beer your whole life, but now you're not drinking it. You're in training and all that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
I haven't had a sip of alcohol in about a year, not because I was addicted to it, just because it was a long period since I'd had any. And then I was like, man, I'm feeling freaking awesome. And then I went out one night. I was like, well, I'll probably have a drink tonight because it's a good social lubricant. And then I didn't. And I was like, man,
You
I
didn't
think
need
when
it.
you get to be our age though, you're like,
Yeah.
you don't really care what anybody thinks about you. You just like, I know who I am now, so I don't need to like
Right.
get like some way to like make me funnier or like
Yeah.
relaxed or whatever. And so I don't know that I'll say I'll never drink again, but I just kind of haven't like probably a year now, and I feel great. And I
They
never
call
have
it the fuck it 50s. Can I say that? I'm
yeah,
Irish.
you can say it, dude.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's legit. Like
yeah.
stuff.
It's great when you don't care so much what everybody thinks anymore. And I have to be honest, and I wouldn't want anyone to go through that thing I was telling you about my medical incident, but there's a great benefit to that happening too. You kind of go, an awful lot of stuff doesn't matter, and you you overthink so much stuff. You know what I
Right,
mean?
you're always worrying about what
Yeah.
happens, and then you're like, dude, that could have been it for you. Like,
oh, absolutely.
I mean, flatline, like,
6% chance,
just
and I was one
boom,
of the
done,
6,
and then like
thankfully.
like all the stuff you were worried about made.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
You worry about so much stuff and what people think, but you just go do it.
Yeah.
And and have fun doing it. I think that's a key too, in our industry, because it's a crazy industry. You gotta have fun.
You gotta have fun. It is a
Yeah.
crazy industry. Y'all have so many things you have to deal with: literal fires, metaphorical fires, like
Yeah.
people quitting mid shift, freezer going down. Who was it? I called somebody out in Denver yesterday, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" He goes, "Well, damn freaking printer broke, and I've spent an hour and a half trying to get the damn printer." Because it's not like corporate America where it's like, "Oh,
There's someone for that.
the printer broke. Call the IT guy." It's like, no, like I got to figure this shit out. Like,
Yeah.
it's a lot
You gotta figure out whatever's thrown at you. That's it. But it's a mad business. But I say it keeps you old and young at the same time. Because basically, the hours over the years pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But you're also surrounded. As you're getting older, generally speaking, the guys who work there are younger. You know what I mean? As you and they I think it's a great mix.
that youthful energy.
Yeah.
I've noticed that recently. We have been talking to, like, I have an intern that is kind of going to help us out some, and he's 22 years old, like just graduating college. And when I'm like, man, this is like young energy. Like I
Right.
kind of start to
It's
feel
awesome.
young again.
Yeah.
So okay, so how do you now? You said that you can just go outside and like in your backyard and you're on the water, so you can. I mean, do you train like you go paddle like every day or a few days a week or?
I right now, well, I do have a dry suit, but I'm only back in the water in New York. I'm getting soft in my old age, so I only just started back paddling on the water in March. You know, not that long ago, I did it right through the winter, but I was just doing more gym workouts But yeah, no. So I'll be out pretty much every day now.
Okay, and
Yeah.
do you do? So you're training for a 10K, 6.2 miles. Do
Yeah.
you do
Like an hour's race, basically? It's an hour of racing.
about an hour of
Yeah,
racing?
on average. Yeah.
Okay. When you train, do you do a lot of short, intense interval paddling, or do you just train that distance, or a little bit of both?
You know what? I wouldn't even know where to start, except I was very lucky to meet an amazing woman, Stephanie Shadiller. She's ranked seventh in the world, and she's on the U.S. team. And I did a race in Connecticut, and she won it. And I went up and introduced myself afterwards, and then discovered she lived on Long Island, and reached out to her and said, "Hey, any chance you'd coach me?" She's like, "I really don't do that, but you live in Long Island, come on out." And that she's been my coach now for nearly 5 years, and she's amazing. And she tells me, what to do, and she's literally knows exactly what she's talking about. But actually, sorry, another thing she said to me is, you really, more so than a coach, you need a nutritionist. And she was a nutritionist, and she helped me lose 50 pounds, in a very short period of time back then. Yeah. So basically, to answer your question, basically do at the earlier in the season a lot of long, quote unquote, for the want of a better word, slow and boring stuff, even though it's not so boring if you're out in the bay or whatever. You just, building the capillaries in your system, and basically, the shorter and faster stuff comes much later. But basically building your foundation,
Yeah.
and then as you get closer to the races, then you start doing the shorter, faster interval stuff,
So will she be competing in
She will be for the U.S. team, yeah, in the open division, like the pro division.
pro division?
Yeah.
And are you okay? So, like, are you at a point where you're like, I want to win for the 50 above? Like
I wish I would love to think that, but the competition is going to be fierce. There's some incredibly good, talented guys that are going to be in this race. I'm not even going to say where I think I'm. I haven't a clue yet.
How many people
But
will be
what?
in
My
it?
guess is I think there was 150 raced in Thailand, which was the last World Championships. Somewhere between, I guess, 100 150 will be on the start line.
For the 50 and
for
up.
the 50 and up, race.
Got it.
Maybe 100. Listen, I'd love to be. I'd love to be in the top, 10%, 20%
Yeah.
of that, somehow. I'm not really sure if that's even possible yet, but I'll talk to me in another few months.
Oh, I will be, man. I'm fascinated with this.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Sarah, is it out in the ocean?
It's actually, it's not. And most of the last bunch were in open water, and they had, the one in Poland was just a washout. You know what I mean? They had some crazy weather, and for instance, in the women's race, in one of the women's races, they were only 3 finishers out of 50 people, and they got first. Gold, silver, and bronze. But so I think that might have steered it to flat water. It's actually a purpose-built course in Sarasota, 2K course. So
Really?
yeah, so it's actually a really beautiful course, and it's a rowing, canoeing, and all that kind of flat water
Okay.
course, and that's right up my alley, because I love flat water from my years of in crew.
Yeah.
And I'm also, as I say, I'm not a cat. Some of these guys could balance on on anything, and I just like to eliminate a lot of those variables and just be more a fitness thing.
Is a distance board long and narrow, or what?
The standard length for a race board is 14 feet.
Oh, that's a big board.
Yeah.
Okay.
And mine's 20. I just got a new board. It's 24 inches wide, so it's pretty narrow for.
That's pretty narrow.
Yeah.
It's pointed.
Pointy, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So
And
these
light
are-
it's super
these are
light.
different.
Actually,
Okay.
Flying Fish, got it from Flying Fish paddle boards. Actually, my coach is a team rider for them in Florida. They're amazing. I think they're the best board in the world, and I got so yeah, they're. The owner John he's got an amazing operation and is blowing up down there in Florida and worldwide. Yeah.
Okay. Well, this is awesome. I can't wait to kind of. I'm going to be staying in touch and following you with this thing.
I hope not to disappoint.
This is exciting, man. I love it. I'm proud of you, man. That's amazing that you know, because a lot of people may have said, "Look, I like that's scary. I'm not gonna, get back into doing this stuff or whatever."
Right.
So I applaud you for doing that. And so you've got a really cool thing. You got this great establishment, 27 years.
27 years.
27
March
years.
27th was 27
You
years.
got stick, and you're doing this. That's awesome. And do y'all have kids?
I have one kid, Harry.
Okay.
He's 6 years old.
6 years.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
yeah,
I'm
you told me.
57 with a 6-year-old, and my wife, she might not want me to share. She's a good bit younger than me. So no,
He'll keep you on your toes.
Oh no, he's epic. It's the greatest thing ever. And I'm not gonna lie, I never wanted kids. You know what I mean? And then, then my wife. I always said to her, and I think I was more than maybe fibbing, that I was like, when you're ready, I'll be ready. And then eventually we were both. She had a great career, and she was a buyer for Bed Bath and Beyond. Corporate. She traveled, internationally and all that with. So we were both into our jobs, and then, but eventually she's like, I want a kid, and then it wasn't happening. So he was like kind of the miracle of IVF, and and he's as real as they get, and so we have a shocking redheaded giant child. He's six years old and he's 66 pounds. He's hilarious. We love him to death. And as I said, it's the best thing ever. I would highly recommend it.
It's the best thing ever.
Yeah,
I'm
it is the
glad
best,
you.
right?
Yeah, man. You would have missed the boat. I'm
Oh,
glad.
yeah.
It's a great experience. There's
Right.
nothing like it.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
incredible. It's
No.
incredible. You get it. You take him down there to the pub.
Rarely, you know what I mean. But I do bring him down. And I thought you were going to say, we just, had him out on a paddleboard. Actually,
That was my next question.
Yeah. So he has his own paddleboard, a little inflatable one, which is good if you're going to introduce kids, because if they fall on their face,
Right. Yeah.
it's this,
Right. That's a good point. Yeah.
But
Really good point.
yeah, no, it's that is the best, no doubt. Yeah,
That's awesome, man.
yeah.
Okay. So tell us where people find you. I know you mentioned the Stick website, but let's just go through your pub and Stick, and just where's the best place for people to find you?
You know what? I mean, the absolute best place would be connectwithstick.com, right? And
Connectwithstick.com.
Yeah, www.connectwithstick.com, and they can start their free trial, have a look at the website, and they can, if they have any questions, there's a contact us button there. They can reach out that way, And I mean, that is really the best way to get in touch with us, and we would love any questions or any interest.
Do people if people get in touch with y'all, is it you that do you have a team? Do you have a customer support team? Or
Oh yeah, we do, and I mean, it could be me or it could be any one of our team. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Yeah.
What about the pub? What's the website for the pub?
It's Mary Carroll's MaryCarroll's pub.com. .co, sorry.
.co, right?
Yeah.
Okay, .co.
Yeah.
Can you go sign up for your texts on your website, or do you have to be there?
So you can go to the Stick Instagram account, right? And then there's the link in bio for that, right? And basically you can sign up there. Well, sorry, and as a Mary Carroll's customer, if you're Mary, sorry,
Yeah,
if you want
can
to
I
check
sign
out,
up for Mary Carroll? I'd like to get your text. Is there a way for me to sign up for it?
Yeah. So you can go to Mary Carroll's pub. Is the Instagram, and marycarrolls.co is the website. But Mary Carroll, if you go on to Mary Carroll's Instagram, you go to link in bio. There's only 3 links there, and one of them is basically sign up for the VIP. We call it Mary Carroll's VIP club, and you'll see exactly how it works. So yeah, if you want to see how it works,
I want to do that. Yeah,
do exactly that, and you'll get a free drink for it too if you're ever in New York.
If you're ever in New York,
Yeah.
So so you're out on Long Island. So
Yeah.
if you fly up there, JFK is the closest, and then you just go. How far between? Okay, so Long Island is however big it is. It's
About
pretty freaking
120
big.
miles long.
Are you halfway?
We're like
up
a third of the way out. So we're
Okay.
45 miles as the crow flies from Manhattan.
45 miles.
Yeah, we're also the end of the electric train line to Montauk. So basically, you switch to a diesel train from Manhattan if you want to go to Montauk. So there's an express train, electric train from Manhattan into Manhattan in 1 hour. Actually less. I think it's 55 minutes train into Manhattan.
Okay.
So it's a commuter town,
Okay.
village, Babylon Village, and
So
it's a
people
beautiful
live there and they
village.
commute into Manhattan.
Yeah, a lot of them do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's also we're 5 miles from the Robert Moses Beach and Fire Island. Which is a fantastic vacation destination.
Okay.
And beautiful beaches out there, and the Great South Bay, which I'm obsessed with, is right there too.
Okay.
It hugs Babylon Village.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Wow, dude. Thank you for coming down here to do this.
Thank you very much. Yeah, that was great. Thank
That's
you.
fantastic. I love what you're doing. I can't wait to hopefully help any way we can with Stick. And
Thank you.
I think we probably have a lot of customers that will love what y'all are doing, man. So, well, y'all, we will wrap this up. You will probably hear me. If you follow me on LinkedIn, you'll probably hear me talking about Conor here, here and again. I've been doing LinkedIn like a year now, and I've gotten a decent number of followers, not like a ton, but yeah. I just kind of share our story or what's going on. And so like your story is really fascinating, and I'm going to let people know like how you did during the race and all that kind of stuff too. So, listen,
the pressure's on.
That's it. Yeah, man. Well, you got a lot of people, they're hanging in the balance now. So
right.
Get your trainer to get you out there and push you really hard. Well, that's a wrap, y'all. Thank you for listening. Make sure to give us a rating. And if you can comment on that rating for the podcast, even better. Ratings and comments just drive more traffic. So if you like this and you want more people to hear it, knock that out for us. We love y'all. Thank you for listening. We're actually recording another episode here in studio today. So a lot of stuff going on. I appreciate you as an audience. And Conor, thank you for making the trip down here, making this happen, man. That was freaking awesome.
Thank you very much. That was really enjoyable. Thank you.
That's a wrap, y'all. Hey, y'all, before you dial out, just a quick request. If you are listening to this podcast on iTunes, if you would give us a star rating and a comment, it would be so helpful. If you're on Spotify, if you'd follow us or whatever platform you're on, if there's a rating or a follow, please do that. What that does is it tells these algorithms to put this content in front of more people that are looking for this type of content. So if you enjoy the episode, please do that. Thank you so much for listening to Restaurant Owners Uncorked or watching on YouTube. We appreciate you. We're proud to be able to do this, and we're just going to keep putting out great content, y'all. So stay tuned. Thank you.